This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live, coming to you from Palm Beach, rainy Palm Beach. Don't know why. No hurricane yet. There is a hurricane out in the Caribbean, approaching the Caribbean. I think it's still over 1,000 miles away, called Hurricane Kirk. It has a very preliminary analysis of of hitting the East Coast at the end of the weekend, next weekend. That's a long term. I mean, a lot of things can happen between now and then. But unlike the irresponsible excuse that we have for president and vice president, most people track these things a week or so in advance. Biden has a different practice. He tracks it 4 days after they're over and spends his time at the beach, which has led to a tremendous amount of chaos, which is being covered up by the media. The governor of Georgia that originally, praised him because he called him and thought he was going to get help. I mean, Biden must have forgot that he called. Probably somebody wasn't listening on the phone, so he forgot. So here's the problem with having a man in the White House who's unfit to be president of the United States, who is mentally significantly impaired. So he has made it very clear. I think we could play that again if we want, where he has basically just said no to Israel doing what would be in the interests of Israel, the United States, and the world, which is to take out their nuclear facilities as much as possible. We are not saying they can take out all of their nuclear facilities. I don't know if they can take out all of their nuclear facilities. I know from the last bombing that they did that they can certainly take out the one. What did they hit the one in Natanz? I don't remember. They hit one of their major nuclear facilities. They didn't hit it. They hit a target because this was like a fixed fight, right? Yeah. Nobody in Israel died, and 2 people in Iran died, and they could both say they attacked each other. This one I don't think is going to be a fixed fight. I think Bibi's goal is to take advantage of this to kick the living daylights out of them. I mean, and out of Iran, not the proxies. Go to the forget the middlemen. Go to the guys running the damn thing. What a stupid thing to do, to spend your time with the Houthis and the Pooties and the Scooties and all the other jerks when this is being directed by Iran, and bang them really hard because obviously they don't want to be. So do we have that? Do we have that one? If we don't have it, we don't have the one where the one that we played it. We played it either on this show or the earlier show yesterday. The one where he basically goes over to the reporters and says, "No, we're not going to do the smart thing." Is this the one where he walks over but is this the one where he walks over and the first stepmother just to pay? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That was really mean.
Sir, can I ask you, what is your support an attack on Iran's nuclear sites by Israel?
The answer is no. I think there's things we'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do. But all 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond, that they should respond and enforce it.
I'm saying he looked better today. Look at him there. He looks like he's just warmed over. Well, basically, he said no, he's not in favor. He did indicate that Israel makes its own decisions, and they have. I mean, Bibi has gone completely, basically pays no attention to it. So today, or yesterday, that was probably the day before yesterday, because he's coming up with nothing for them, he speculated. Now, I don't blame this on his dementia. This is the kind of stupid thing all throughout his career this nitwit could do. This is why Gates said before he was demented that he never made a correct decision about foreign policy. That is not an exaggeration. I can't think of one. I can go through them all if you want. I can't think of one that he ever did. As president, he's been on foreign policy as big a disaster as he has been on domestic policy. And this is a combination of both. A prudent man or woman wouldn't say this. So he wants to show that he'll do something. So here's what he says. He discusses the possibility of Israel bombing the Iranian oil facilities as payback for the 200 rockets. Well, what do you think happened? He's trying like hell every crooked means that he can to keep down the price of oil so gasoline doesn't go up. He's completely raped our national reserve. God forbid we would have a national disaster. We'd be in the same position FEMA is because he's completely raped FEMA to give it to all the criminals that he brought in. So when Jerko said this, within minutes, the price of oil went all the way up and the market went all the way down. That's what having a nitwit in the White House can do. It's not fun. Now, if this, having put the focus now on this, it's going to be really hard for this price to come down. And people could be looking at, a similar increase in the price of the gas pump. It just takes a couple of weeks to come around. And sometimes it happens right away because they're getting ready. They're getting ready for it. They're getting ready for there being much higher and more costly gasoline. So an intelligent person would not have said this. This is not a product of his corruption. There are things that are, like the Bagram Air Base. It's not a product of his being a traitor. All the information that he and his son passed on to China is a product of that. This is a product of being a man who is unfit, even before he was demented, to be president of the United States. But the media, because they didn't want Trump, lied about it. They knew that. They knew he was stupid. Everybody in Washington knew he was stupid. He was introduced to me by a friend of his from law school. Said he was the stupidest guy in his law school class. I mean, he really is a massive jerk. So the situation with people coming into the United States, in some ways, I don't say that it's changing, but I mean, the emphasis has all been on the southern border. And of course, in numbers, it should be. But in severity of the kinds of people coming in, it's a little closer because they put out a study about the terrorists that have come in, and believe it or not, last year more came in over the northern border or snuck in than in the southern border, which is a bit of a surprise. But if you remember, just a few weeks ago, we had a major terrorist situation in Canada, and this is systemic now. The silliest prime minister in the world, maybe is in the UK. I don't know, but Justin Trudeau has to be. He really does. I mean, he just has the stupidest ideas. He's I guess a socialist or a communist, like his alleged father Castro was. But he's a stupid socialist and communist. So he decided, I guess he saw how well the open border was working in the United States. So he decided to copy it. So he opened the border a couple of years ago, and he is now overwhelmed with illegals and a disproportionate number of terrorists. He issued 400,000 foreign student visas in 2023, on top of the 1.5 million that he had brought in the year before and the year before. So when you think of the population of Canada, Those are big numbers, and they're sitting right on our northern border with a much easier way of getting in. So we should have woke up to this a couple of weeks ago when Mohammed Shahzeb Khan was arrested for a major plot to destroy a Jewish center in Brooklyn on October 7th. And I think he's up to now, they have caught or they have identified 6 co-conspirators. And he was going to come over the border, but the FBI hooked into him about 5 or 6 months before, and they let him play out his plot, hopefully on very, very good tape recordings that will end up having him in jail for the rest of his life, except Trudeau might likely pardon him. I mean, he really is. Whoop. Why do we elect people like this? Because I don't, there must be something wrong with us. I mean, we just like to make things more difficult for ourselves by putting incompetence and silly people in office, right? So there is one situation I want to bring to your attention. But before I do that, let's finish up with Canada. Let me give you the statistics on Canada. And through July of this fiscal year, 422 individuals have been brought in that we know about who are on what we call the terrorist watch list, or officially known as the terrorist screening data set. And that was 422 that entered either north or south. And then of that number, this is what I meant. This is somewhat surprising. 283 came from the Canadian side, and only 139 Mexico. Now, okay, there could be something wrong with that. What could be wrong with it is a lot of terrorists come in that we don't know about, because for high valued operatives, there's no question that the terrorist group is paying off the cartels to bring them in unnoticed, which is easy to do. It's a relatively easy thing to do. The busier we are, the more tied up we are, the easier it is to bring people over in the 30 miles or 40 or 50 or 60 miles that isn't watched. And you can be sure that when you look at the numbers of the known, the lowest estimate given for that by the experts is about 50%. So if in a given year you bring in 3.5 million, the way Biden did in 23, you're going to have at least almost another 1,200,000, 1,300,000, 1,500,000 that come in. We don't know who they are, and they're going to be the worst ones, because they're going to have gotten special treatment by the cartels. What you're looking at on
I'm going to try it. Yeah. So just before, but Mayor, I just want to point out to our viewers, I'll try to find some video. We were at that Swanton sector this past spring up in New Hampshire. Remember, we drove over to the border. So that's the corner of the Swanton sector, but I'll let you describe what
I should tell you that when I was a law clerk to Lloyd F. McMahon, federal judge, we did a 4-week mafia trial, because that used to be an interesting, it was a big mafia family in Montreal, and they used to sell drugs to I think these guys were with the Bonanno family, and they used to do it in Plattsburgh, which is up there near the border on the New York part of it. Plattsburgh has an air base there also. Now, so that border also affords opportunities to come over observed, but considerably less, and it isn't as organized. They don't have the cartels there that have every inch of the border under their control. But whether these numbers would hold true if you looked at the real numbers of the actual numbers of the terrorists in the country, I don't know, because it would seem to me that when we start dealing with the ones that we don't know about, a disproportionate number of them are going to be where the cartels are, because the cartels can offer you an opportunity to come in unmolested. And if you bring in large amounts of fentanyl, which again, I'll give you the numbers on that one. Fentanyl is if we measure his years in office so far, Biden and border czar Harris, and we compare it to Trump, it's up 82%. That's scary. That's 82% more people that have died directly because he doesn't patrol the border. He doesn't bother to patrol the border. 2 days ago, there was a sentencing for a crime that took place on Long Island back in, I think, 2017 or 2018. And the reason I bring it to your attention, the crime was committed by MS-13, which we're kind of forgetting about because of Trendiragua. This is just as dangerous. The two of them are working together right now. Ain't going to stay that way. I'm telling you, it's not going to stay that way. And everything I can see, including follow-ups to the excellent articles that were done about this in Chicago, you're going to have a gang war. The Chicago has much better organized street gangs, let's say, than New York does. New York has pretty much been taken over by the illegals in terms of street gangs. But the Chicago gangbangers are publicly speaking out. And they're going to start shooting them. And this is what he's brought us to. And then Trump and Vance get criticized because they say that Haitians are eating animals in Springfield. Okay, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's right. I don't know. I do know that the Haitians sacrifice animals as part of voodoo. But in any event, it brought attention to a place that's a damn disaster. 15 to 20,000 Haitians, many of them brought out of 150 years ago, without sanitary practices or without knowing how to drive automobiles, and they're driving around killing people on the streets. When DeWine finally found out about it, even though it's been going on for a year and a half, all that guy's been doing is try to figure out ways to indirectly screw Trump, not govern, because he should have been on top of this. He actually sent the National Guard and then criticized, because they said it was, and then it turned out that the threats on the citizens or the Haitians or whatever came from foreigners. So those foreigners are not MAGA people. Sounds like they were orchestrated. And even DeWine said that. So this sentencing that took place, we have a picture of Lenis Escobar.
Yeah.
No, I don't put it up because this is really impossible to figure out when you look at her face. Look at that pretty girl, right? Very sweet, big smile on her face. She's from, of course, Venezuela. Venezuela, right? And no, she's not from Venezuela. Excuse me. This is MS-13. I keep thinking of Trendiragua. So she was here. She was working with a group of MS-13. She is a member of MS-13, and at the time she was only 17 years old. Well, they lured. She did. She was the bait. They lured these four guys. Miguel Lopez, Justin Lizzie Cora, and Jefferson Villalobos and Jose Tigre, all of them teenagers or just about teenagers. And they told them that they were going to show them pictures and also give them some marijuana. And then when they got them there, the gang members jumped on them and hacked them to death with machetes. And she is the one who lured them there. And during the murders, she was smiling. And I think this was the picture that we show the picture. The picture that we showed of her smiling was at the time that she was arrested. And her lawyer was asking for less time in prison. The family of the people who was one of the boys who was killed, of course, says they believe she deserves the death penalty because it couldn't have happened without her. She's the one who sucked them into this trap, and she got 50 years, which, okay, we'll take it. Life would have been better, but given the sentences like 10. We got to be realistic. And this, of course, was Long Island, not the corrupt New York City judicial system. Corrupt except for Staten Island. There's a bill in the Senate. It's a very, very sensible bill, and I'm sure that Schumer will make sure that nobody has to vote on it. He won't even let them vote on a bill to try to reduce anti-Semitism. I mean, he's Jewish. Wow, what a sellout, huh? Oh, you don't want them to be part of your ethnic group. They're going to work against you. So there are right now, known to us, 15,000 illegal aliens with sexual assault convictions. Now, if they're in Florida, if they're in California, and the sexual assault is pedophilia, the sentences have been all taken all the way down now. It's almost, they're trying really hard in California to see if they could accept pedophilia as just part of life. But in any event, we got our own problems with sexual assault in the United States. We don't need to be bringing people in from all these crazy countries, and then they assault people here. 15,000 illegal immigrants with sexual assault convictions are a lot, except it's a lot higher because of the function of a lot of the people that come in, we don't know they're here. Millions. Senator Joni Ernst, of course, a Republican, has sponsored a bill called the Be Gone Act. And it would expedite and put right at the front of the line deportations of illegal aliens convicted of sexual assault and aggravated sexual violence. And some of these had it when they came in, had the conviction. And it sounds like most of them did, because Senator Ernst said these violent criminals never would have entered America in the first place if we had any kind of real border security. This is another indication of what we've told you now for a couple of years. We don't do vetting anymore. So I know I can tell you the people we don't see, we don't know what they did. But a lot of the people we do see, we don't know what they did. A lot of these people who've ended up killing people and were stopped at the border, we got a chance to talk to them. We let them in. Also because we don't detain anybody anymore. So any more developments on the new perception of masculinity, except the fact that they're covering it up? But three women have come forward to say that the second gentleman, and I don't know about second or first or whatever, I think the gentleman thing certainly doesn't apply to this guy, that he smacked very, very violently his former girlfriend in the face about a year before he met his later girlfriend, and now the unfortunate choice of the Democrat Party for your president, cackling Kamala. he took a day to deny it, but I think he must be in a lot of trouble with Kamala. Did Kamala tell us during the Kavanaugh thing that women, always tell the truth about these things? It's well known that women never lie about things like this. So would these women be the only ones that ever lied about it? Because it was her husband, the new perception of masculinity? That's not the only thing he did. He also knocked up his nanny about a year or two before this, and it broke up his marriage. He then paid her money under the table for a non-disclosure agreement. Gee, isn't that what Bragg prosecuted Trump for? And the statute of limitations had run, but they got a new statute. They're gonna do that for him? And then we also have the fact that she was the primary attack dog, and I use the word exactly for what it means, and it's an embarrassment to dogs to compare on Kavanaugh, where there was absolutely no corroboration for the evidence against him, but because it was a woman, we had to believe her. Well, these are women. These are women. And this is a guy that has asked for it. I mean, he goes on and he lets stupid Little Red Lying Hood say he's the new perception of masculinity. And then he has silly Jonathan Capehart described in the Post as lib friendly, who I don't know if he said this or in discussing it with him, he agreed or Capehart said this. There's too much there's too much of toxicity, masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine. You've got this trope out there where you have to be tough and angry and lash out to be strong. Like, you got to be able to hit women to be strong.
Well, Mayor, should we
Oprah Winfrey announced it at the Democratic National Convention that decency and respect are on the ballot. So I guess you can't vote for the cackling Kamala family, huh?
Well, how about we take a quick break, and we have a very special guest that's joining us from the great state of Georgia, right on the other side of this break. President Trump was in Georgia today, Mayor.
Yes.
With the governor.
Yeah, that's an interesting combination.
Good friend of the show. We got Bruce Lavelle coming right up after the short messages. You'll want to stick around for this.
Do we show him that?
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Come back to America's Mayor Live. And do we have Bruce on the...
We do, Mayor. I'm getting the headphones. Sorry, a lot of moving parts here. We got Bruce Lavelle on the line. I'm gonna pull him on now, but I got to get these on for you.
We're having the biggest.
Let's pull Bruce on right now. He's on, Mayor, but I just need to do these here in a second here. So we got the great Bruce Lavelle joining us. Bruce, we got you on. We're just gonna connect here shortly.
Okay.
All right, Mayor. We got Bruce on.
Hello, Bruce.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
I saw you on TV
I know.
with
Huh?
the boss.
Yeah.
You
Thanks.
look good.
I got a great wife, man. What do I say? She knows how to do it.
So,
Yeah.
first of all, how are things in Georgia as a result of the hurricane?
Well, we're getting it together. Thanks for asking about that. I have a lot of friends in Valdosta, South Georgia. It is going to be a timely recovery, as I might say. We've lost, as you saw the governor's announcement today, the press conference, we've lost, a third, almost 40% of our crops. So it is worse than Harvey, that we had a few years ago. And we haven't even talked about, of course, North Carolina and Tennessee, but I'm speaking in terms of Georgia and my good friends in Florida. I have a home, in St. Pete. Gulfport was wiped out. My neighbor lost his entire home on Treasure Island, and that completely went underwater. So, it's going to be a work in progress. And thanks for asking about Georgia. Thank you.
But it hit St. Pete badly, and actually, the eye of it was up in Tallahassee. But I guess
The storm
it's still,
surge. Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, it's always about the water. A lot of people think so much as the wind. It's the water. And Rudy, you know as well as I do, and all the folks watching, flood insurance has almost tripled, in the last few years. And some insurance carriers have elected to pull out of Florida and some parts of Georgia. So good luck even getting and obtaining insurance, because it's like a huge car note monthly on acquiring flood insurance. So that's another topic over there on some of those homes that are.
we've run out of money. FEMA's run out of money. They gave it to
Yeah.
gave it all to the illegals, and of
Yep.
course, Zelensky just walked out of here with $8 billion.
Yeah.
We could have kept $1 billion back, right?
Interesting dynamic when you say that, because a lot of people just we've been hearing that a lot on television, but I have actual testimonies. I have one of the largest churches that I attend, Victory World Church, multicultural, 10,000 plus members. We're a mission church. We send resources. We partner with Samaritan House, with Franklin Graham, and many others. Been there 30 years, and let me tell you, the testimonies I hear of some of our folks, and even my good friends on the Cajun Navy, all the way from Louisiana, that are up there and deployed. A lot of relationships, a lot of friends, a lot of boots on the ground giving me testimonies. And, some of the sentiment, especially in some of the bigger hills near Asheville, North Carolina, and some of those good old country folks up in there saying, I see they give that money over there to them old guys over there, and them folks ain't paid nothing in here, and ain't nothing for us. What about us? So I use that term because that's exactly how it was articulated to me, Rudy, and all the viewers and listeners, because it's real talk, as you say. Tell Zelensky to sell one of those yachts. Let's go there.
And I got to tell you, if you think that all that money is going to the front, you're out of your mind. It'd be impossible in that country, and with the Biden crooks overseeing it. That's what they were doing for years, whacking money up there.
Yeah. And that's
So
why.
they have the offshore accounts, they have the laundering.
Yeah.
So, plus, I'm not saying I disagree with this, but Biden won't let him win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe he should let him win because we have a world war.
Yeah.
But so what are you fighting for? You're just killing people.
I know.
But the money is coming.
Yeah. And this is something I know you've done your entire career, is fighting the corruption, obviously what you had to deal with in New York, and being a mayor, and many other good folks that want to serve just to do the right thing. This is a result, Mayor, right here, for example, of what the results are when there's so much leadership that's inundated with pay to play and special interests, where you're so bought and paid, and you're so convoluted with with pay to play, you can't even govern to deploy simple goods and resources to help your American citizens, because you're so strapped with the bureaucracy. And you saw Elon tweeting about some of the folks saying, look, the FEMA's blocking some of these folks trying to get in here and help, et cetera, and some of the other folks that are boots on the ground because of the bureaucracy. And to your point, has Biden and them even said, hey, let's meet in Singapore and let's have let's meet somewhere in a sovereign nation and work this out? No, they haven't. And that's why I believe that President Trump can end this war. He can definitely end this conflict with Israel now they're over in Lebanon and dealing with Hamas, et cetera, because no one is big enough. And I mentioned you earlier in your segment, because I had to talk about this on another show yesterday, about how the DNC loves to emasculate, especially black men, but they like to emasculate men in general. And Rudy, yeah, I'm gonna say it on your show, brother. There are too many betas. Yes, I said it on your show. Beta males trying to be. It ain't nothing like good old steak, potato, alpha male, old dog, big dog coming in the room to get this stuff in order. And I'm sorry. I got to call it for what it is. Look around. Look at France.
I know, Bruce.
Look, who's in charge in France? Who's in charge in Canada? Who's in charge?
Yeah,
Look
yeah. I
around.
was just talking about the guy in Canada. They
They're all
Castro's
betas,
son.
bro. They're all betas. They're all betas. Zelensky wears a dress. You saw him in his little tutu dancing around in his little play and all that kind of stuff. Come on, bro. Look around. Donald Trump's the only leader, the only alpha male, the only real alpha male out there. The America needs make alpha
That's why
males
they hate Trump.
again,
That's
right?
why they hate Trump, like he's the man.
Exactly.
And what about but you know our new model now, our new hero is Doug Imhoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our new model, not John Wayne or
Yeah.
Doug Imhoff.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like, man stuff. Like
It
man.
might have a few problems. It might have a few problems that
Well,
are being covered
that's
up.
what makes it authentic, Rudy. You got to have a few little something going on. You got to spit tobacco in that dude's eye, like Hank Williams Jr. always said, and skin a buck and run a trout line.
Well, you got to tell me how do you see how do you feel about things?
Well, in terms of the election, I assume you're asking me that. November 5th. Okay.
Yeah. In terms of the election,
we're not in 2020. We don't have the silly Zuckerberg ballot boxes put out that don't have proper custody and chain
thank
of custody.
God.
The country's not locked down, so right there is an advantage in itself of some level of normalcy, if you want to say, going into that. I am in Atlanta in terms of I've watched what happened in the last 4 years. And I will say, for example, the city of police is still a third understaffed, obviously because of the culture of the defund is still spewing over into the camaraderie of the existing police and wanting to retire out early, let alone trying to recruit other officers in there. So there's a huge void in public safety, and it's transcending over to the business people.
But when you look and you see the kind,
because what happened was they made a culture where they brag about business, but it's also a lot of folks like, well, I don't want to do business in Fulton County. I don't want to go down and see that, because it created this culture. So to answer your question, I think it's going to be a tremendous benefit for moderates, Black Americans, especially independents, and some Dems are going to push the button for Donald Trump. I really believe that in my heart.
I do too. I just have too many people that come up to me and just talk to me that are Hispanic or Black, and they want to sort of go out of their way, knowing that I'm associated with them, to tell me, oh, let them know I'm voting for him. Let them know I'm voting for him.
Yeah. I mean,
there's an enthusiasm there, and it may have actually gotten better with Harris in a way.
Yeah. Well, remember now, as well as I do, him longer I have. I met him here in 91 in Atlanta, and he's always had a persona of very approachable to all cultures historically, as a businessman, as an entertainer, if you want to use that term, The Apprentice, going on the WW with Jim McMahon and slapping him and they're fighting. He's always been exposed to everyone. Because remember, Rudy, out of 40 years, brother, out with the limo guy, flying here, going here, coming in contacts with all the waiters, the staff members, all of these millions of people, I'll use that term. No one ever came forward and says, well, he's a racist. Did you ever notice that? Nobody. Until June 2015. They had a huddle and said, okay, we got the play. All right, here we go. Let's call it racism.
What a shock to him, too.
Yeah. And but another thing too, you said about Black Americans.
He's over it now, but it was a shock at the time.
Yeah. And I think, especially in Black culture itself, I think over time, and thank goodness, for, this network, You know, you got Newsmax. You have a whole, you know, have great podcasts out there. I mean, my God, look at Elon's X platform, 100 million one night, having a conversation with the president.
Yeah.
And thank God for that, because you know, back then we were encapsulated with CNN, MSNBC, CBS, and we had Dorsey controlling Twitter. We had Zuckerbucks controlling Instagram, Facebook, and they had 90% of the social media and media apparatus. So yeah, they built this wall. It was almost impossible to get over that doggone thing, man. But now, thank God that we have other platforms like this one, Frank Speech, and every other places that people can like, oh,
there are the message gets out
yep,
much better now, even than it did 4 years ago.
exactly.
4 years ago,
Yep.
4 years ago, Steve and I had to work like crazy to get out the hard drive. Once they covered it up, we went on local radio and television stations. Nobody would have us on.
Yeah.
So
You
now,
know,
because there were all these alternatives you're talking about, the message gets out.
yeah. Well, you know, this is something I have to say, because, you know, I'm a very optimistic, spiritual guy, Rudy. That's who I am. I tweeted 2 days ago to Jack Smith when he dumped that 165-page mess, if you want to call it that. And I tweeted, "You will reap what you sow, Jack Smith." And I'm going to tell you like this, Brother Rudy, and everybody watching.
Oh, my God.
No matter how gloom it looks, I still believe that this is the season of exposure. And I believe that God's going to reveal all of this darkness, which is definitely being uncovered. It's not our time, Rudy. It's not my time. It's God's time. And I think we get a little discouraged because we're like, well, there it is right there. Get it. And you're wondering why it's not moving, but it's not your time. It's God's time. But it always comes to light. And you know that, being a former prosecutor, being a high-level public safety official, there's guys that you knew that were dirty. You knew, but you knew one day they will reap what they sow, and the truth will come to light. As my mother always said, she says, "Honey, I hear what you're saying, but you still got to answer to the Lord when you die, whether you believe or not."
Bruce, keep going. We need you. Keep your energy up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready.
We'll be checking in with you.
I appreciate
God
it.
bless you, my good friend.
Hey, and
see you soon.
And give Ted a raise. Ted needs one. Ted needs a new suit.
Ted needs a suit.
He needs a new one. A custom one like I wear. You know, custom.
Hey, check cleared. Check cleared. Thanks, Bruce.
Take off that Sears.
Great. We'll see you soon, Bruce.
All
we
right,
love seeing you on television, though.
Thank you.
Anytime you're with the boss, we feel better.
Oh, yeah. I talked to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll do a little discussion of where everybody is right now. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? And both in baseball, which is less important, of course, but still kind of fun. And how about that thing called the presidency? We'll be right back. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
And
Welcome back. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live. So we're on to the first, I don't know what you call what really the wild card's part of the playoffs. So the first full round, I guess. But this is five games, right?
Yep.
So it'll be in the National League. It'll be San Diego and the team with the best record in baseball, LA. Although a lot of people are picking San Diego to win it. I don't know. With somehow you got to get Ohtani out. I think about the game where he scored 11 runs. I mean, he just wins a game by himself. So I'm picking the Dodgers in that one. Phillies and the Mets. I got to pick the Mets, and of course, I'm doing that with my heart rather than with my brain. But if you look at the season series, it's like something like 7-6 or 8-6. I'm not sure. I mean, they're 1 or 2 games apart, and the last 4 times they played, the Mets won 3 of the 4. So, and the Mets have been like your team, the Tigers, one of the hottest teams in baseball in the last month of the season. I don't think the Phillies slowed down the way the Yankees did. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I don't follow the Phillies. Then we go over to the American League, and we've got the Yankees in Kansas City. Now the Yankees are on paper much better than Kansas. Kansas City has a great pitching staff that has held the Yankees pretty well. So that I think the Yankees will win that because I mean they are capable when they open up of scoring 20 runs. Right? I mean, Judge. If you look at Judge and Ohtani, I mean, Judge has more home runs, more RBIs, walks more often. So everyone talks about what a great offensive presence Ohtani is. Judge could be even more of an offensive presence. Now, he's not a pitcher, but Ohtani wasn't a pitcher this year either. And you can't be better than him defensively. He's a great outfielder. And Ohtani, I think, is a good outfielder too, but I'm not sure he's as good a natural outfielder as Judge. Lots of people would pick Ohtani as the better player. But if you look at the numbers, Judge has just got more power. He batted 322 this year. Now we got Detroit and Cleveland. I'm going to let you talk about that one. Now, I know my pick, and it's not just because you're here. I go with their being hot.
The Tigers being
like the Mets are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something to the fact that you come in, and they're not just hot from the Tigers are not just hot from the 2 games. They've been hot all September, like the Mets have. Remember, the Mets about a third of the way through the season was something like 25-34. So think about their record since then.
I mean, they've been 31-11 in the past, I guess 42 games.
Yeah, well, that's a ridiculous percentage.
And they just swept. I mean, it's a 3-game series, but they just beat at their home stadium. Who's been probably the best team in baseball the last 10 years, the Houston Astros. And now they go to Cleveland. They play the first game tomorrow, 1:00 Saturday. And it'll be interesting to see. They know Cleveland real well, right? Division rivals. And if they can stay hot, they got the Cy Young. They have the likely AL Cy Young Award winner in Skubal.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I mean, their roster alone is less than the amount many players make on teams like the Astros and the Yankees.
They're a surprise. They're definitely a surprise.
They're hot at the right time, right, Mayor? And what does that mean in baseball?
It means you have a chance. I mean, I think about I mean, even in football, I think about when the Giants won the first Super Bowl against New England, and New England was undefeated. The Giants were the last team in the wild card. They had to play every game on the road to get there, and they beat the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. When you're hot, you're hot.
Yep.
Now there is also, because if you could predict all this, people make a fortune betting, right? There are also strange things that happen. I've seen teams that have had a great first round, and then they can't score runs in the next one. Or I've seen players, they go into the first round, they got 3 home runs, and they go 1 for 20. It's not a science, but I'd say it works out 2 out of 3 times. Baseball teams, like baseball players, are streaky. I mean, look at both the Tigers and the Mets came back from being mediocre teams to being teams that can compete with the top 8 in baseball. So I think it's going to be really hard to tell. The other thing that was amazing is home field advantage didn't mean a damn thing. 3 out of the 4 teams that won were the visiting team. So
Isn't that interesting? And they were sweeps, except for, I believe, right? They're all
the Mets.
Yeah.
Mets were 2-1.
So what are the odds, Mayor? Let's go through
Yankee Met. The Yankee Met.
Yankee Met World Series, Subway Series.
I think it's hard. I mean, you would say the Yankees have a better chance to get through because of their season record. I don't think that's necessarily true, because I don't know. It used to be that you could be more predictable about teams and their records when they went into World Series and things like that. Now the craziest things happen. I mean, the wild card. I mean, there have been teams that have won the Super Bowl with barely a 500 record. I mean, I think the Giants were 9-7 when they won the Super Bowl. That's hardly a championship record, right? I mean, if you were picking based on the numbers and the 2 most outstanding players in baseball, because one's going to be the MVP in the American League, and the other going to be the MVP in the National League, you would pick the Yankees and the Dodgers, which of course is. When I was a kid, I thought they were the only ones who played in the World Series. I didn't think I was the first time the Yankees didn't play the Dodgers, they played the Giants in the World Series. I thought there was something wrong. What are the Giants doing here? They don't belong in the World Series. And then when the Yankees lost the World Series to the Dodgers, I thought the world had rearranged itself. I mean, they had won 5 in a row up to that point. It was crazy. So now let's go to the other thing that we have to pick, all right? And that is the electoral map. And we have our board. I'll see if I can make it a little bigger. Get my pen all juiced up. Let me see if it's juiced up. Yes, it's juiced. Let's see. It's not juiced up, so I'll have to use my finger. I can use my finger. I'd rather use my pen, but I can use my finger. For some reason, you have to do a connection. I don't want to change this thing. So let's. Shall we start on the East Coast this time? Or no, let's start on the West Coast. Can we go through it faster?
Okay, yeah.
They're pretty obvious. Washington, Oregon, and California. Oregon had been last week in the almost Democrat column, the lighter blue. They are now. Now it's ridiculous not to give them Arizona. There's a poll this week where he's ahead by 4. The poll is ahead by 5.
They're not.
No, Arizona is not even leaning. I mean, it's at least. I don't understand why this isn't working. Oh well, let me go back to here. Wait. There we go.
You have nice and centered. You can keep it like this. That's fine. I can work with that.
All right. Okay.
Every time you move it, I move it, Mayor.
All right, I'm going to see what I can do with it. All right.
Look at that.
Yeah, I got rid of it. It's an ad.
All right, here we go. Perfect.
So, but they won't go away. Yeah, I can actually even. How's that? That's
Keep it
good.
down a little bit. Okay, keep it down. However you need to keep it, you do it.
There. Okay.
Good.
There we go. Okay. Now, so Washington, Oregon, and California, I leave the way they are. Correct. And I make Arizona at least leaning Trump. Okay. Then New Mexico and Colorado. I'd leave them that way. The ones on top, they're all red. They've moved Iowa into red. That was leaning Trump. They've moved Texas to neutral. Now, what the heck is that based on? What? I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I think that was a mistake. Texas is going to be red. If Texas isn't red, I mean, our problems are a little bit larger than.
They had Florida as neutral last time. They've now moved Florida to.
The Democrats sure are spending a lot of money on ads in Florida.
Well, they have it leaning Trump now.
Who's that? Debbie Powell.
They have it leaning Trump, and Georgia
No,
is
it's gonna go
definitely
Trump.
Georgia's
Trump.
Georgia's leaning Trump.
Georgia's going Trump.
So now,
I think North Carolina, after what happened, is going Trump. That should be leaning red right now because of the storm and the
way
lack of
Biden just
response.
paid no attention to them,
paying no attention,
and she paid no attention to them.
and she's paying no attention to it. She's panicking about Michigan. It's almost like Hillary Clinton all over again. Only she's going to Michigan a little bit sooner, but it might be too late. What is her going there going to do, right?
So now, if that's where we are, we're at 262 Republican, and we're at 226 Democrat, and we've got 4 states left, of which we need
one.
Well, I think if it's Nevada, we're too short.
Oh, Nevada's not that big.
Yeah. So Nevada almost doesn't matter. They had Nevada that way.
So
they had it.
You get one of the big 3.
You need
one, or go ahead.
Yeah, you need. I mean, if you got Wisconsin, you'd get 10. You'd be at 272. If you got Michigan, what is that? 15.
That's the blue wall from 16 that crumbled, and that's the one that you could say saved Biden.
Yeah. That's the one where they closed down the machines.
Yeah.
All 3 of those states, they closed down the machines and they kept counting until Biden won.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, baby. Detroit, Michigan. Milwaukee.
So all he's got to do is win one of the 3. He's got to win one of those 3.
Michigan. I'm feeling good about that.
I'm still feeling better about Pennsylvania.
Well, that's great news.
So if I have to choose these, here's what I do. I make that and Minnesota, of course, is red.
Blue.
Blue. I'm sorry. What am I doing? Blue.
Did you
Nevada.
Change Iowa by accident?
What?
Did you change Iowa by accident?
Iowa's solid red now.
In Nevada, you want to make
Nevada. I would make, if I had to make a choice right now, and we have to just get it resolved, right? I'd make it blue. What the
Really? I'd actually make it red. You talked me into it.
Okay, let's make it red.
But part of that's also looking at the rest of the map. If we win Pennsylvania and Michigan,
you figure we're going to win.
It's kind of based on, you know what I mean? Could be off though. There have been some interesting Senate races in Nevada. Did Trump ever win it? In 16, we had that Joe Heck was not a Trump guy. Cost him his seat. So I don't know if we won in 16. I think Hillary might have. And I know Hillary was probably very well organized there too.
Yeah, I think he lost
Sure,
it.
Harry Reid was
I thought he
big in that.
yeah.
And then in 20, did Biden win it? Quote, win it?
Yeah, well, Biden, you know, that one I can't. Oh, I can tell you is rumors. I
Oh my
can't.
God, they ballot harvest there more than almost anywhere.
Yeah, but I didn't. I had no.
And that's just
I
open.
never investigated it, so
It's so susceptible to cheating.
it is.
Ballot harvesting.
But
more
I'm
than
still,
anything.
I'm still not going to say that because I have no evidence.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it either. All I'm saying is ballot harvesting is more susceptible to cheating, right?
Yeah.
Than almost any other form.
So that's it. I mean, that's where we stand. I think right now, which is Trump.
Strong Republican win, right?
Yeah. Now let me give you a couple of the some of the background polls that came out. The evangelical vote is Trump over Harris 2-1. 61% to 31%, except for African American evangelicals, which is 76-14, which means he's running lower in the black vote among black evangelicals than among blacks, which is kind of interesting. You would think he'd run better with evangelicals because he's running about 20% with blacks in general. The Hispanic vote is the Hispanic vote. She's winning it, but very narrowly. 41 point. He's got 41.9%. So you say 42%, right? And she has something like 50 something percent. She's ahead of him by 12% among Hispanics, and that's on the Cook Political Report. But that's a 12-point drop from Biden. She's gone down in the Hispanics. For some reason, don't buy her as much as they did Biden. So here's what's happened with the Hispanic vote. Basically, it was about a 35-point margin for Democrats up through Obama. When Biden ran, it went down to 23. And now it's down to 12.
Yeah.
I would say that is I would say that that's enough to win.
Yeah.
Because it really just turns all the polls around. The Harris poll has Trump winning in Michigan by 4 points. That's the Atlas Intel, a survey from but the Harris poll. The average of polls has a winning by 1, but this most recent poll, has Trump ahead 51-47. And Representative Elisa Slotkin announced, rather stupidly, that she's underwater. I'm not feeling my best right now about where we are on Kamala Harris in a place like Michigan. We have her underwater in our polling, meaning in the Democratic polling. Now, that could be done maybe to yeah.
The anti-Trumpers are not. They're off the wall. So you tell them that Trump might win, and I bet you that really gets them nervous.
The Nevada polls haven't regularized yet. And that's why I was a little more skeptical about them. Under Biden, he was ahead all the time. And for some reason with Harris, it's they're neck and neck. I mean, like out of 10 polls, he was winning in 8 of them. Now he's winning half, she's winning half. Now a guy who runs the votes for the unions says that if the election happens now, and that was 3 days ago, Trump wins. That's the that's the consensus among the Democrats are feeling kind of down, and I would think the debate with Tampon Tim did not make him feel any better. I think the debate with Tampon Tim gave him a certain amount of, as Italians would say, agita, which means a bad stomach. So there's our final one for today. I'll put that away.
We'll save that. Yeah, I'll screenshot it.
Screenshot
on your screen too.
This one here, this one here is a little ridiculous. I don't know what. Oh, 302, yeah. You know, we were at 302 last week. I think we got there a slightly different way. But I still have some hope. Now, if I would look at a few here, I still have some hope for New Hampshire, Virginia, and New Mexico. Although New Mexico, he's down by almost double digit. And that's tough at this stage. But let's see.
Right.
Oh, I think we've got a long weekend coming up. Be a lot of campaigning. People absorbing that what happened during this week, and also some very difficult decisions that have to be made by the Prime Minister of Israel, who doesn't have until hopefully this election a real ally in the United States, which is the first time the first time that a Prime Minister of Israel has to operate that way, has to operate, without a clear indication that the United States of America is there and is going to remain there. I mean, every time they get it, every time they talk about supporting Israel, they qualify it with, well, they better do it the right way. How do you do a war the right way? I mean, you're going to make mistakes in a war. It's a dynamic, frightening, unbelievably chaotic situation. You got to be on the side of your ally. There's no indication that Israel is deliberately trying to kill civilians, just the opposite. They're going out of their way not to. Before we go, we could say what a miserable creep the Attorney General and Smith are, and what they get away with. I mean, this thing that he put out the last couple of days was as obviously an election interference document I've ever seen. And it kind of proves that the whole thing is an election interference. All the criminal cases are part of election interference. And do you know they're not going to put Hunter Biden papers out until after the election? And what crooks? New York has a proposal on the ballot, Proposition 1, which would be an expansion of the state constitution, and it would erode parental rights, parental consent. It would even make it impossible to enforce the immigration law. So please vote against Proposition 1. It's like trying to define America away. Hurricane Kirk is now a Category 4 storm. It is supposed to reach Leeward Islands, which is where the Caribbean meets the Atlantic Ocean on Friday, which is today, and then it's gonna make its way toward the East Coast and hit Bermuda on Sunday. So it's kind of up north. Notice it isn't down really in what we think of as the traditional Caribbean, not down in. So what the heck? I mean, if you're talking about Bermuda, that's considerably north of the Bahamas, and that's really weird. If it just took a straight line from Bermuda to the American coast, it would hit North Carolina again. Isn't that crazy? That is really nuts. I must say. I mean, that could. Let's see. Let's see. Look for Bermuda. I mean, Bermuda is basically off the coast of North Carolina. Oh, Bermuda Lane. I want the country. There it is. Ooh, see it? I'm pretty.
So we're gonna try to take a call or two.
There's Bermuda. Are we trying it?
Yeah.
There is Bermuda. So now let's shrink our map up so we can see. Yeah, usually they come up through here, usually they come up through Cuba. Yep.
Right.
They hit Cuba, they hit Dominican Republic, hit Haiti. So this is considerably further north. And when is it supposed to hit Bermuda? Sunday. I would think, Ted, it would hit the American coast
Right.
a little bit faster than weekend. We have to travel next weekend, right?
Right.
To, I think, Virginia. That could be where the hurricane's headed. This looks like a more of a usual hurricane, which is Leeward Island chain. Leeward Island.
The phone lines are now open. Give us a call. That's 646
What's up?
573 5177. We're gonna try.
Oh, we're gonna give it a try.
We've been talking about it. So here is.
So we're gonna see how far the Leeward Islands are from.
Hello, who is this? Hi, you're on with the mayor. Go ahead.
Oh, look at this.
Go ahead.
You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
Let me. Yeah. All right. Please, I'm gonna put you on hold. Okay.
So who is it, Ted?
Taking a call. I'm trying. So the issue is with our new system here.
Yeah.
We're gonna. Let's work. So this is our old friend of ours. I've stayed in touch with him a little bit here. We have Elliot in Detroit. Elliot, you're on the air with Mayor Giuliani. We have a.
How are you, Elliot?
Down. Myers. Florida, then going over to Jupiter, Florida for baseball. So I'm down here for 2 weeks. My question was about Mayor Eric Adams and the straw donations he's been accepting. Obviously, we just seen another New York tried to blame his wife on everything. We know these people are taking, lots of money on the side. What can we, the people, do in our states? What can Republicans do in every state across the union to investigate possible straw donations that we know are being given to these people? What can we do, Rudy? Because we're losing the battle, in my opinion. And guys, this money is the reason they're even winning elections. So
Yeah.
we have to do something about it. But what, Mr. Mayor?
Well, those states are, New York, California, Illinois, right? Are so reflexively Democrat, brainwashed, really, to the point where in Chicago you have 60 years of straight Democrat rule, and this time they elected, even among the Democrats, the worst of the Democrats, the most left wing, the most idiotic, the most dangerous, the most anti-police, and they're getting killed like fish in a barrel. So I don't know what you do with states that have been brainwashed like that. You see a lot of movement in a lot of the other states. I mean, you look at Florida; it's become a Republican state. Virginia looks like it may be coming back to being a Republican state. New York has a history, however, when things are very bad, like they were when I got elected, they'll elect a Republican. But it's hard. I mean, there were only 3 elected in the 20th century: myself, LaGuardia, and John Lindsay, who became a Democrat. So it's a very hard thing to do. And I would think if any place is going to do it, New York would do it. I don't think Trump can win New York, but I wouldn't faint if he did. I would absolutely faint if he won California or Illinois. But what can we do? We got to get involved in politics. There was an article about 2 weeks ago. I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. There's this club where they don't talk about politics because they're not they don't want to be bothered, or they're bored with it. You really don't have the luxury at this point in our history to be bored with it. You've got to be involved.
Thank you, Elliot. Now let's take a quick question from Lewis in Florida. Lewis, you're on with the mayor.
77 WABC.
Oh, wonderful. How are you, Lewis?
Yeah, question.
Good.
J.D. Vance said that, I watched the whole debate. I live out in the Ocala National Forest here in Florida.
Wonderful. That's a beautiful.
Yeah, what did J.D. Vance mean when he said that he wants to seize federal land? Did he actually mean national forest?
No. He's talking about land that would be, close to a population area, so they could use it for housing. I can't. I mean, he's certainly not going to take the Everglades, right? Unless you want to live with alligators. Yeah. You have alligators? Yep. Do they have alligators that far north?
Should you say that again?
Alligators. You have alligators.
We got saw a black bear.
In Florida?
Yeah, we got black bears. You live down in Stewart. You can come visit me. My wife will make me soup.
All right. Let's get his address.
Send us your info after the call. Text it to this number.
We're thinking of going alligator hunting tomorrow.
Find some alligators.
All right. Okay.
Lewis.
Thank you, Louis.
Thanks, Lewis.
Okay. All right. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. You got it. God save America. 100%, my friend. So that's good, Ted. We got this working. So now for the rest of the season, for the rest of the political season, we're going to try very hard at every show to take at least 4 or 5 questions so you guys can line up and take and call. And also, I really would like you to call and tell me what you think about who's going to win. That makes the best focus group you could. I mean, it's sort of an unscripted focus group. You see the focus groups almost immediately after the debate had J.D. Vance winning like 8-2. One was 16-4. And then, of course, it turned out that everything else followed that way, too. So those focus groups are very good because you don't just get it like on the polls we were looking at, he's ahead by 5 or he's down by 2. You don't know what the big issues are.
Let us know where you're tuning in from too. We like to do that on
But
Friday. Comment below.
But when you talk to people, you get a little more of a feel for the emotional impact of it. So we're going to sign off so people can get ready for the weekend. And again, we'll have our ear to the grindstone here, and anything comes up, we'll be on. Tomorrow, I got to tell you, I'm frightened. I'm not frightened, but I'm sure they're going to go extra special in Butler for President Trump. But I think that whatever is behind all of these things that are happening, there are people there are people, and not just crazy people who are out of their minds, but there are people who have a motive to kill him, and a big one, and they've demonstrated by doing everything else short of killing him. I mean, when you can do the kinds of things they have done, murder is not out of the question. And you'd be highly irresponsible investigator if you ruled it out. So keep watching for the hurricane. You get no help from Biden or Harris. I don't even know if they know what a hurricane is. But I used to follow these things like a hawk when I was the mayor because I was going to let my city. I was never going to let my city get hit with something and I wasn't there. I came home from the Bush second inauguration before the inaugural ball because it could be a snowstorm, and I was afraid I couldn't. I had my van with me as the mayor then, and the police with me, and we really were thinking, could we wait overnight? And we thought, oh my God, we might get stuck in D.C. So we just didn't go to the ball. My wife wasn't too happy, but we had been to the one 4 years earlier. Had great seats too for both, but hopefully, I don't care where I'm sitting. If he gets inaugurated, I might be too excited to even go.
We'll be there.
My feelings about Washington are colored tremendously by what happened at the end of 2020 and then my unbelievable frame-up trial that I had there. And then also the horrible things they've done to the January 6th people. I mean, those DC juries, 100 out of 100. You just have no, I mean, it can't be that all the cases were correct. In any event, again, pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for wisdom for us. And God bless America.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776. that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able